Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Get in the Garage.
We're a music podcast.
For music lovers.
Once again, great show for you guys. Luke, why don't you tell them what they'll be expecting while I pull up the goods here?
We have the music news like we have for you every week. We are going to do a show roundup. Me and Michael went to a show this weekend in New Haven. We're going to tell you all about it. We are going to shout out shows we are going to, shows that Jeffrey is participating in and playing. We are going to talk Black Sabbath Volume 4, the 50th anniversary. Wonderful record. Excited to do it. And then we have music reviews like we always do, where we are going to highlight Khruangbin and
Vieux Farka Touré.
Thank you.
Collaboration album called Ali.
And then we are also going to cover The Comet is Coming, Jazz Explosion. It's going to be amazing. Stick around. Fast forward if you want.
Yes, and also remember to like and comment and subscribe. Let's go.
This is our theme song.
It is.
It's playing now.
I don't know why it's not playing.
It's really not playing. It will be at some point.
Yeah, I pulled it up. What the fuck? I did what I always do.
All right, you want to do a hard cut right there? No. Okay, Here we go.
Yeah? Yeah, here. We're fine.
There
we
it
go.
is.
There it is.
This is damn software update.
It's not software.
I did software update.
Some technical difficulties.
Operator error.
Yeah, absolutely. Right on. Cool. Well, gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's time for the good and great music news from the last week. Luke, would you like to usher us in as you always do?
Yeah. Let's talk about Lizzo.
Oh,
Lizzo.
I did see that, yeah.
Was invited by the Library of Congress, who has the biggest flute collection in the world. Let me say collection right. The Library of Congress has the biggest flute collection in the world, and they invited Lizzo to play James Madison's flute from 1813.
I believe it was his crystal flute.
You are correct about that. It is made of crystal.
The magic flute.
The magic flute.
And Lizzo got
Flute
to
of the
play.
Pied Piper.
The magic stick, so to speak.
Oh.
One might say.
So she was
Ian
invited.
Anderson is like, what the fuck?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Jethro
he's like,
Tull must
he's
be
like,
so
I'm the
mad.
I'm the flute guy. What the hell?
And Lizzo got to play the flute, and she twerked with it.
She
and
literally was allowed to. Okay, you can hold this for 30 seconds. And
no,
play.
she got to play it on stage.
Yeah, but I saw the clip of her playing it, and it was like play 3 notes, and then they're
Yes.
like, "Please gently give this back to us." And then like the guy behind the lady who even received it like had a pillowcase, and he like as it came down, like please.
Everybody was very nervous
precious
about this
flute.
crystal flute.
James
Yeah.
Madison, fifth U.S. president.
Let me just give you this
What a
quote
guy.
What a guy.
from Lizzo real fast. Bitch, I just twerked and played James Madison's flute from the 1800s. Thank you to the Library of Congress for preserving our history and making history cool. History is freaking cool, you guys.
Wow.
Lizzo.
History is freaking cool, you guys. Right on. Well,
Words of Lizzo and the crystal flute.
and wisdom. So more sort of. Oh, do you?
Lizzo, you can take this if you want. Lizzo and the Crystal Flute is a great children's show.
It's an opera.
Yeah.
Lizzo
and
that's
the
an
Crystal
opera.
Flute. Yeah.
so,
Rock opera.
You can take that.
A
Thank you.
fantasy rock opera. It's like Lord of the Rings
Lizzo and the
and
Crystal Flute.
Lizzo and the Crystal Flute. I suppose, she played at the White House. She played in Washington, D.C. Some sort of governmental musical sort of intertwined news. Did you guys see Roger Waters is continuing his rampage of just upsetting people and talking about things that no one cares about?
Let's hear it. This is
So
our weekly
he
Roger
said-
Waters news.
Yeah, we might as well. There's no news about Snoop Dogg, so I figured I might as well talk about Roger Waters. So Poland had canceled dates for Roger Waters' tour recently because Roger Waters had said some things about there being some like extreme nationalists in Ukraine, and to like get his country back on track or whatever. We stay neutral here, so that's not what we're talking about. What I am going to talk about is the fact that stuff happened, and then Roger Waters was mad, so he wrote a letter to Vladimir Putin, basically in like a letter of disgust. And we talked about Pink Floyd last week, okay? I love Pink Floyd. But just come on, Roger. No one cares what you're saying.
You said we're neutral on this podcast? Here's neutrality. Hey, Roger Waters.
Yeah, no,
Go fuck yourself.
no. That's not what I meant. I didn't mean in the sense of how we feel about Roger Waters.
Okay.
Yeah, fuck you, Roger Waters. Him and Neil Young.
Dear Mr. Premier.
Yeah, right.
Like,
I meant in terms of like, bigger sort of political.
What we're
whatever.
saying is me and Michael are not at liberty to comment on geopolitical.
yeah.
Yes. I am not. I'm not an expert in the field by any means, but yeah.
Yeah,
it's
Roger
just like,
Waters is
I'm just like Roger Waters, dude. What do you just go home?
I support any government that bans Roger Waters.
We make those T-shirts. Keep an eye out for that.
Build the wall for
Around
Roger
Roger
Waters.
Waters. Yeah, he said, quote, "Dear President Putin, since the Russian Federation invaded Ukraine on February 24th this year, I have tried to use my small influence to encourage a ceasefire and a diplomatic settlement that addresses the security needs of both Ukraine and the Russian Federation." Also, why is Roger Waters, the guy who said you can't
peacekeeper.
have any pudding if you don't eat your meat, trying to solve the brewing Third World War? No one cares, Roger Waters. That's all I'm saying.
Just a guy with a lot of big ideas.
Yeah, right. It's like just, Anyway, so that was my music news. I just thought it's just like I'm just, it's like Roger Waters. Get it together, man.
Well, you
What are
also
doing?
gave us some geopolitical news, so
I did.
Thank
Yeah.
thank you. I feel
Yeah.
updated and informed.
If you didn't know, Ukraine is in the middle of a war right now.
Yeah, in case you weren't paying
What?
attention.
Anyway, so there you go. There's my hot take on the Roger Waters and the Ukrainian war.
This weekend was the second tribute concert for Taylor Hawkins held in Los Angeles. Many people appeared. The Foo Fighters, of course, Miley Cyrus, Pink, Wolfgang Van Halen, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera. Yeah.
Do you have the list?
I have some
Or
more
some
for
of-
you.
including a fun-
I have
yep.
some fun moments for you. Dave Chappelle was also at this event.
Oh, yeah.
This event happened today when we're filming, I think, or the day before, right? I think
Yeah,
it
it was
happened today.
yesterday.
Oh, okay, yesterday. Dave Chappelle has done this with the Foo Fighters before, but he came out and performed Radiohead's "Creep." This is also Get in the Garage's second week of Radiohead's "Creep" news. You're welcome. So this week, Dave Chappelle sang "Creep" with them. It was amazing. It was out of key. It was very Bismarck key and wonderful. Also, did you love Miley Cyrus singing "Photograph"?
Yeah.
I thought she kind of killed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that performance. It was really fun and exciting, and then she kept pulling the mic out when she couldn't hit the note on "Photograph," which I also loved.
Yeah, she was really good on that song.
Yeah.
Forget the lead singer of Def Leppard's name, but he sounded like dog shit. But he's like 65 years old.
Yeah, he
so
doesn't. He
whatever.
didn't sound great. But
Joe Elliott.
Joe Elliott. When she came roaring in, you were like, man, the
Yeah,
power.
yeah. And she looked like Debbie Harry.
Yeah,
like
she
she had
definitely
the
did.
Debbie Harry like outfit and glasses and hair. So-
Yeah, the sunglasses. Yeah.
and
yeah.
Pink did I forget what song she did, but Pink did The Best of You, it might have been Foo Fighters song.
Yes, and they also had them Crooked Vultures played again, and Joan Jett opened up the show,
Yeah.
and Nancy Wilson from Heart was also.
Oh yeah.
So another good tribute to, a guy lost far too soon.
Yeah, and two amazing tribute concerts, which
Yeah.
were,
Yeah.
Yeah.
very awesome.
Cool. Anything else?
I do. Speaking of people that we are kind of always in a artistic struggle with here on this podcast.
Oh, I think I know what you're gonna say.
Oh yeah, so Beck,
Yep.
the artist Beck, covered Neil Young's "Old Man" off Harvest, I believe, 1972, and it was for Sunday Night Football. So after Sunday Night Football played, you got this like montage of Beck performing on a black stage with a spotlight, and then there was like TV in the background where you saw pictures of like Tom Brady and other
Oh.
football stars. And
Football stars.
Football stars, sports. How about them Giants?
How about them Giants?
I knew we
love
talked
those Cowboys.
But there's like a line, the line 2024, and there's so much more like plays when like Tom Brady's going by, and it didn't look artistically good on any level whatsoever. I'll say that.
Was it a live performance or a studio?
This is
whatever?
a studio. It was really weird. It looked like, it was weird. And
weird
anyway,
guy.
Neil Young kind of shot back because Neil Young doesn't own his music anymore, can't decide where it goes and where it does not go anymore. He sold his rights to Hypnosis
Sure, the managing firm.
Yes,
yeah.
the managing firm. He did that last year, so he does not control his music anymore.
Well, whose choice was that?
Right, his, and this is already the second
Yeah.
big blow up. He had the blow up with Spotify and Joe Rogan that we all know about and talked about on this podcast. And now he put out like a little thing where he's like sponsored by nobody, like on a his Instagram post. So it's whatever. You sold it. You don't.
You can't sell out if nobody wants to buy what you're selling.
Well said, Jeff.
You guys don't like Beck? I didn't know that.
Oh no, I like.
No,
I like.
Oh,
Beck.
it's a Neil Young.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
gotcha,
the Neil
gotcha.
Young.
Hold on, just for good
portion.
measure. Hey, Neil Young.
Hey, old man, take a look at this.
Yeah, man, I just don't like the whole let me listen to your music in what capacity I feel like I want to listen to it, and
Yeah.
I feel like he's always just like, you can't enjoy it here, and like the Sunday Night Football thing is artistically void. Let it be artistically void. The statement is on itself. It looked like Beck was like,
Whatever.
it was in bad taste, but like it is what it is. So
I really don't enjoy what they're doing with my music. I really enjoyed that $110 million they gave me, though. Like,
Yeah.
so
Go
that
fuck
They
that's,
didn't ask for his blessing.
that's kind of what I'm saying in
Wow.
there, and
they don't need it.
they don't need it.
That's
so,
right, they don't.
In other football news, before we leave,
How are we?
listen,
Luke
guys.
Roberge, sports.
Luca Burge, quarterback in this episode.
I just hope they all have a good time.
I just realized I'm not wearing my hat.
I hope both
Oh,
teams.
you're not.
I hope
signature hat.
both teams have fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you catch the match?
Rihanna is playing the Super Bowl halftime show this year. So,
After Taylor Swift turned it down, supposedly.
oh, Jeffrey with the hot goss. I didn't know
Supposedly.
Really?
that. Wow.
Rihanna's so much better. You know what's gonna be really cool? Let's see if she does it. It might be a little too on the nose. Rihanna brings out her now 7-month-old baby.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
this is my child.
For real.
Baby.
I give that. I say it's 20% likely that she does.
Yeah, you think so?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I predict 100% likability that there will be articles that this performance was too urban,
Too urban and sexual.
sexual. There you go.
Yeah.
That's what they're gonna call it.
Too
This performance
provocative.
was
Too provocative.
overly
yeah,
provocative and very sexual.
Yeah.
So
Well, let's just all remember what happened with Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake so many years ago.
what happened is, for 5 years afterwards, we got some of the worst dying old rock bands play the halftime show, and nobody liked it. I'm looking
Tom
at you,
Petty.
the Who. Tom Petty's was pretty good. Who was pretty bad.
Who is pretty bad.
Yeah. I
Stones played after
yeah,
that.
Stones did play too. Didn't Aerosmith play too?
No, Aerosmith was before that happened, because it was Aerosmith, Kid Rock, Britney Spears,
And
What
Sync,
a
maybe?
lineup.
and NSYNC,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Kid
Nelly.
Rock.
I don't. It
Kid
was like
Rock
everybody.
and Steven Tyler are throwing
Hat.
microphones.
Microphones,
back and
Oh
that's
forth.
yeah,
right.
that's
Yeah,
right. That's right.
While
Yeah.
they're
Doing
singing.
Walk This Way.
Yeah, it's pretty dope, actually. You know, long live the kid.
Yeah. Long live the kid. I have one just kind of fun sort of piece of music news.
Sure.
Willow Smith, who is known as Willow in all caps, has changed her display name to Young Fiery Lass after posting I don't know if it was on Instagram, but posting on Instagram a post of her playing along with a song off of the new Primus EP, and it was captioned I fucking love Primus. If you haven't listened to that's a big issue. And then Les Claypool said, "Fine guitar picking there, young lass.
Fine guitar picking there, young lass."
So she changed her display name to Fiery Young Lass, and thank you, Les Claypool, for connecting with young and old.
And inviting us to head on down to South Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. All right, cool.
I have one more.
Yep.
I have
Let's
a in memoriam, rest in peace.
Oh, yes, yes.
But a jazz legend, a jazz giant, died this week. Pharoah Sanders, 81 years old, died. He was one of the leading figures in avant-garde and free jazz. He played with John Coltrane and Alice Coltrane, amongst others, early in his career in the 60s. He went on to be a major figure in his own right. Check out his albums, especially from 1967 to 73. He released 6 in a row that I think are just all great. Challenging listens, but well worth it. And he released his final album last year. It was a collaboration with an electronic music producer named Floating Points and the London Symphony Orchestra, and that album was called Promises. And it's I think it's a 9-piece kind of jazz, classical, work. It's 50 minutes broken up into 9 sections, and it's great. It's something he recorded when he was, I guess, 79, 80 years old, and it's beautiful. It's not challenging like his early work, and I recommend checking out Pharaoh Sanders, who was born Farrell Sanders, but then Sun Ra gave him the name Pharaoh Sanders.
Oh, no way. Yeah.
Space is a place.
And he's described as being like, if you think of John Coltrane as the father, Pharaoh Sanders is the son, and then Albert Ayler is the Holy Ghost. Like the 3 legends of that kind of very out there saxophone playing.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Check it. Challenging.
You might only be able to check it out for 20 seconds, but check it out. It's interesting.
Right on.
Very expressive, very spiritual guy. And just, major loss in the jazz world. He was, one of the long living guys who was still around from the fucking 50s. So, yeah.
Well said.
Okay.
Good
Right on.
great tribute.
So moving on. We, this week, or this month, I should say, are celebrating an anniversary. Luke, would you like to tell the good people?
I would, but we have some
We have
things
one more
before
thing
this.
before this.
Oh, that's right. We do. Yes. I'm sorry.
Michael, always
worries.
jumping the
I'm so
gun.
sorry. I thought that we were going. Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought we were going to do that at the back end of the first half. My bad.
So me and Mike went to a local show over the weekend, and we wanted to highlight the show and tell you what we saw. We enjoyed ourselves quite a bit. We went to Cafe 9 in New Haven. We saw.
Thank you, New Haven.
Thank you, New Haven.
Not New Haven.
Oh, says you.
New Haven,
Says
Connecticut.
you.
We saw
in the streets.
the bands Smoke Below. We saw Sun Watchers, and then we also saw New Haven's own Mountain Movers. It was a fun time. Please check out all those bands. Once again, that's Smoke Below, Sun Watchers, and Mountain Movers. Smoke Below had cool keyboards and saxophone. Sun Watchers was kind of out there instrumental music with a saxophone. They did great, really awesome
And
guitar.
their bass player was
phenomenal.
What?
Yeah.
Sorry, Alex here. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Alex went to the show too.
Yeah.
So yes, they had such a great bass player, really cool saxophone lines mixed with the guitar lines. Really like them. And then Mountain Movers, the sludgy, Crazy Horse adjacent band from Connecticut. They play, like I said, Crazy Horse inspired kind of indie music. It's really cool. Please check them out. And with that being said, I want to highlight some more local shows coming up in the Connecticut area. Safety Meeting Records is holding a show at the State House in New Haven on 11/10/22. Please check that out. Sly and the Family Stone will be there. Them Airs will be there. Aura will be there. And Laminate. I really know Sly and the Family Stone, and I'm really excited to go see them. So please check out that show. Once again, that is at the State House in New Haven on 11/10/22. And we also have Jewett City's own Enemy the Illest. He's playing at the Strange Brew Pub when hip hop returns to the Rose City, and that is going to be on October 8th, 2022 at 8 p.m. So check that out. Strange Brew Pub, Enemy the Illest, bringing hip hop back. October 8th, 2022.
And I'm playing a couple local gigs in the next month. I play with my cover band, 20th Century Kids, a few times. I don't know when the next one is, but I'll announce that when I find that. But I started playing with a group called A Former Friend, which is made up of Toby Fatzinger and Amanda Crawford, a husband and wife songwriting, performing duo that have been performing together, I assume, for a decade or 15 years, however long they've been together. And the drummer in that group is Danny Fleet, and I'm playing bass with them, and we are playing at the Stomping Ground in Putnam on Saturday, October 15th, and we're playing at the Starlight in Southbridge, Mass. on October the 29th, which is also a Saturday.
Right
And that's alt country. If you like, Tom Waits and John Prine and Johnny Cash and Wilco and that type of music. It's cool stuff. I'll have to bring the copy of the vinyl that Toby gave me. We'll display that and
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, for
maybe
sure.
do a review of that at some point.
Yeah.
Would love to.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Okay, so now, onward we go to the album of the year. No, I'm just kidding. It was recorded in May of 1972, and it was released in September of 1972, that same year. and it is what you may call a cocaine fever dream. Maybe were they doing cocaine at this point yet?
Oh my God!
That's
Yeah,
a
the
little-
Yeah,
songs,
right?
The soup
Snow
songs.
Were they
Blind.
doing
Snow
cocaine?
blind?
Yeah, right. I'm
Only
sorry.
quote the whitest, cleanest, hardest cocaine that's ever been made. Like that's Ozzy Osbourne's quote.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about the making of Volume 4 by Black Sabbath.
Yeah, let's
Volume
get it.
4 was made, I believe, in a mansion in L.A.
Bel Air, yeah.
and
Will Smith's mansion from the show.
most of them don't remember making a lot of it. It was heavily fueled by massive amounts of cocaine use. The owners of the house were frightened by the band, not because of their evil, because there was mountains of cocaine, and Ozzy Osbourne was having like psychotic reactions to the heavy amount of drugs, and so were the rest of the band. I believe there was numerous fires set in this house when this was going on. A lot of drama, bad stuff, and most of them cannot remember making this album that well. They remember a little bit of it.
Yeah, the album was originally titled Snowblind after the song, and because of the experience of being so cocaine-induced, and the record label rejected it.
It says the band regularly had speaker boxes full of cocaine delivered.
Yes, to the house.
That's wild, man.
And the
Cocaine
thing
is a hell
with
of a drug.
we talk about drugs on the show quite frequently, but a lot of the time it really has hand in hand with music, especially Black Sabbath. We're talking Black Sabbath's first album. They are a marijuana and booze band, you can definitely tell psychedelics are heavily involved. And as they progress through their career, we're at this point, we're at Volume 4. They've made their stoner metal classic, Masters of Reality. Before this album, the band started doing heavy amounts of cocaine, and you can also tell because all the songs in this record are faster. Most of them have a up-tempoed thing to them, and the highs on this album are very all up here, where old Sabbath albums really had a stinky low end that would just sink in there. This album's a little different than that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of great songs on the album. I mean, Changes, of course, which is the ballad famously covered by why am I blanking on his name?
Charles Bradley.
Charles Bradley, thank you. But it's a little, you can tell it sounds
It's somewhat uneven.
Yeah, right, because like the bangers are bangers, but it's like other stuff you're kind of like, okay. I mean, I guess
Well, let's talk about the real fart on this record, which is FX.
Yeah, the real fart.
Which is
but that's like a.
But I mean,
and at least it's only a minute.
It's
and 45.
a minute and a half of experimental bullshit, which is like every band does.
Which
that kind of stuff.
they went in and recorded after quote sitting in a room doing drugs, according to Bill Ward.
you don't say.
Oh wait, no, that was Cornucopia. I'm sorry, not FX. That was Cornucopia.
Bill Ward,
but I mean, every fucking song was
supposedly
that.
so drunk during this whole time too that he was like, every day I'd leave recording thinking that they were gonna fire me.
Yeah, right.
And this is the band. These dudes. So this is Black Sabbath's fourth album. These dudes are 24 years old.
Yeah.
So these aren't like old guys being like, we burned our. These are people younger than anybody in this room.
Yeah, right.
Who are just like, fuck our lives. Who gives a shit?
Yeah,
like,
one's completely shit faced, and then the other ones are just doing cocaine and whatever other drugs too. I mean, it's like
sniffing heroin. They started sniffing heroin during this time too.
Oh yeah. So what are the highlights of this record? Because obviously, "Supernaut" is one of the best songs on this record.
I love Snow. I do love Snowblind.
Snowblind is a killer tune.
Yeah.
Changes.
Right. Yeah,
Changes is one of Black Sabbath's best songs.
Yeah.
And this is the record where this is the Sabbath record where the switch up. I guess it works on Planet Caravan too, but this is a complete switch up, and it works so well. And then they never, after this, I don't think they ever really did that kind of switch up again that worked.
Yeah.
Like there is that song that Bill Ward sings on "Never Say Die" that is terrible.
So is the rest of the album.
It sounds like a Beatles song. It is so bad. I forget the name of it, but forgive
that
me.
and Technical Ecstasy, man. Whew, stinkers.
Yeah, you're talking about albums that are so bad, I would never even listen to those albums.
Right,
Yeah,
but
well, you don't need to.
You don't need to. We listen to them
for you. Yeah.
Never Say
them.
Die is a killer track, though. Let's be straight.
Yeah.
Single.
This was also their first self-produced album. Their first three albums were produced by Roger Bain, and then this album was mostly handled by Tony Iommi, the guitar player. And like standard fare, the majority of the lyrics were written by Geezer Butler, and music was written by Geezer and Tony together. I think Ozzy sounds great on this. I was like an Ozzy non-believer because I didn't grow up listening to this music. I started listening to Black Sabbath when I was like maybe like 16. Like, I don't know. They were like one of the last of that classic 60s, early 70s bands I ever even listened to. And I always knew Ozzy as like the bumbling idiot from MTV. And he rips, man. Like at least like the first 6. So basically like all the albums he's with the band are great singing.
Yeah, vocally and stuff.
Great singing.
He's not, he's
And
pretty
this
good.
isn't his best, but there are moments on this album that it's like, this guy's one of the greatest singers in rock music.
And at this point too, it's not so much Ozzy just singing like right to the riff, like
Right.
and like he's more like what you say is what you do.
Right.
Like there's like more harmony to everything going on in this record.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I dig it. So we wanted to do something fun real quick. We did kind of the same thing with the Pink Floyd albums last week. So we're gonna maybe say like our top 4
Count
or 5.
them down.
Top 4 or 5 records. For me, it's kind of. Oh, actually, no. Yeah, there's.
You want me? I'll hit it first.
Yeah,
I'm very confident.
Okay.
Number 5 is a pick from 1980, the first album by Black Sabbath featuring Ronnie James Dio.
Oh, I didn't know we were adding Dio.
Are we adding Dio?
It's called Heaven and Hell.
We're
This
adding.
Heaven and Hell
This is rough. This is gonna make it hard.
Yeah, but Heaven and Hell is better than only the other 4 I'm about to name. So if I wasn't gonna put Heaven or Hell, if I'm gonna just keep it Ozzy Sabbath, it would be I guess Sabotage.
Yeah.
Number 4 for me is Volume 4.
Yeah.
Number 3 for me is Master Reality.
Yeah.
Because doom sludge metal classic. Number 2, the album recorded in one day, the first Black Sabbath album, the album that shows like, oh, you think of metal music as like this precision, like and it's like, no, this is a band that's like swingy and like kind of lopping and like in a cool way, like jazzy way, especially the drums and bass. And then number 1 for me is the class Paranoid. It's just like one of the greatest albums in rock history to me. So.
Ooh, all right, okay, Luca.
I'm gonna put Sabotage at number 5. Is that what you had?
Yeah.
I think my list is gonna be the same.
Heaven or Hell is what I really have, but I'll put Sabotage there.
Mine's really Sabotage, and then my list is the same exact as Jeff's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
all the way down. Sabotage is one of the last late great Sabbath records. I love that. Hole in the Sky is one of the most classic songs, very underrated.
Is Sabotage? I think that is the last one of that with Ozzy.
No, the last one's Never
one
Say
more?
Die. It goes Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, then I believe it's
Sabotage.
Sabotage.
Oh, I forgot about Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath.
And then it goes
Like those
Rick
Wakeman synths.
Yeah.
Then it goes Technical Ecstasy, then Never Say Die, I believe.
Yeah. I mean,
Nonsense.
my favorite Dio Sabbath album is Mob Rules. So number 6 then, if we're gonna say that, or like number 5 maybe, interchangeable. And then my list is pretty much exactly the same, except for not exactly the same. So number 5 would be Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, because I do love that record. Number 5. Number 4 would be Volume 4. Number 3 would be Master of Reality. I would actually just go in chronological order. 2 is Paranoid, and 1 for me is the first Sabbath album, because that first Sabbath album.
I like the first Sabbath album, but the second one has such better songs on it. Songs.
does-
And Ozzy sounds so much better on the second one.
Fucking-
I mean, it sounds good, but it's like that. It's like how.
Hand of Doom, man.
It's like how.
Fucking Hand
how,
of Doom, man. Fairies Wear Boots.
What's his name?
Such a good record.
Aerosmith.
Yeah,
Steven
Steven
Tyler.
Tyler.
How he like got better as albums went on. Like
Yeah.
Ozzy's so like in his throat on that first album. It sounds good, but that's like he like unleashes on that second one.
Yeah.
But
So
all respect to your order.
Yeah, right on. So, okay, shall we take a quick break, and we'll come back with our 2 new album reviews.
Oh, you want to give the Ozzy? You're number 1
Your number 1 is how he does.
all the time,
Well, you're number 1, Ozzy. We love you.
about 50 times a song.
We'll be right back. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Hofner Guitars. I have here the Hofner Shorty. It is a full-scale, travel-size guitar. You can find this and all of their products at hofnerguitars.com. All right, welcome back, everybody, to Get in the Garage.
We're the music podcast.
For music lovers.
Time for our 2 new album reviews. Jeffrey, would you like to usher us into our
Sure.
first one?
Sure. First new music we're going to be reviewing is a collaborative album from Vieux Farka Touré and Khruangbin. Pronunciation challenge, both of those artists. It's an album called Ali. Vieux Farka Touré is a Mali singer. Is it Malian? I don't know. He's from Mali in Africa.
Yeah.
He's a singer. He's a guitar player. And he is the son of perhaps like the second most famous musician of the last 100 years from Africa. His father is Ali Farka Touré. And this album is called Ali in tribute to his father, who passed away about 15 years ago. And all the albums that are done on this album, all the songs that are done on this album are compositions by Ali Farka Touré. And Khruangbin is a perfect collaboration with him because that's a band, if you're not familiar with them, they're like hot on all the, magazines and radio and whatever.
Festival circuit.
Yeah, right. All the like people in the know really love Khruangbin, and it's a band that is a three-piece that's very like hypnotic, soulful, instrumental, funky music with some minimal vocals. So this album is much of the same, and what they do is so influenced by the music of Ali Farka Touré and his son Vieux Farka Touré. And I really enjoyed it. I think it's like 8 or 9 songs, maybe something like that.
8 songs. It's 37 minutes and 2 seconds long. So
and it's very like mystical, and it's like lots of delay and reverb and like a cool vibe and like great bass playing and like great like hypnotic drumming and the guitar playing of Khruangbin is very much like fits in line with the guitar styles of Mali, which is like this snaky desert blues kind of music. So
yeah, I did enjoy this record. It's interesting because it's it really is sort of like it just creates like you kind of are immersed into this world, you know what I mean? It is very, very, it engulfs the listener. It could be like sound bath-ish. I think Khruangbin is just like that in general anyway, so it's that with that African desert blues kind of peppered in on top of it. I was telling Luke, I found this record to be sort of reminiscent of, do you remember when the Black Keys did that Junior Kimbrough album?
Sure, yeah.
I can't remember the name of the record for the
I
life of
believe
me.
it was just called the Black Keys Junior Kimbrough.
It may have been. It was kind of like this psychedelic like gun on the cover, I think, or something like that. But to me, it gave me that sort of a vibe, and not that it sounds the same as much as it was like, oh, okay, so this is like clearly like a tribute album to like a major influence guitar. Obviously, in this case, Black Keys are not related to Junior Kimbrough in any way. Obviously, there's the relation with this record, but yeah, I enjoyed it. Same thing. Like I really liked that snare. That when the snare hits and you hear the spring reverb,
yeah, right.
Like I like that effect. There's a lot of like fun like oohs and ahs that are kind of peppered in with that big soaking wet reverb. I'm a sucker for a reverb album. Like I do love stuff that's soaked in reverb. So yeah, I found it to be pretty enjoyable, man. It was definitely. We're going to talk about The Comet Is Coming, but it was definitely I'll listen to them in that order, and this was definitely a great record to listen to after listen to The Comet Is Coming. It was a nice yin-yang kind of thing.
I think the other thing to be noted, you're talking about like the stylistically, how the record sounds sonically in there. This record was recorded live, so what would happen is Khruangbin, the backing band, didn't know the songs that they were going to be playing. And they brought them into the studio, and it was like, we're going to do this song. Didn't tell them the context of the lyrical nature of the song. All the lyrics in the song are sung in different African languages of Mali. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And so when he comes in, he didn't tell them, like, this song's a heavy song, this is a happy song, this is whatever. They just vibed out to the mood of the song, which is also very interesting of note because some of these songs are of great struggle, and they don't really sound like they're of great struggle, but if you, like, are reading up and you're like, oh, okay, this song's about this thing and that thing, and the music has a different kind of off-kiltered tone to maybe how some of those songs originally were recorded and perceived. If you're also going back and listening to some of the original recordings from the father, very sparse, some of them just guitar and vocal on some of them, so you're getting a very vast change into so it's a very interesting tribute album because it's really not like a straight like this is what my father did, it's this is what I do, and then this is the the music to the songs. The way you said the spring reverb is hitting, you're only going to get that kind of hit if you're listening to a live band because the hit from the drum vibrates the spring. If you're recording everything separately, you never get those interactions intertwining with each other. So
yeah,
just of note, there's that Alkaline Trio's "God Damn It." That record was recorded live. Very different record, but you can hear the spring reverb every time it punches on the snare, and it goes dink, 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 and it makes like hammer nail sounds. So different sound, but very interesting to hear because most of the things we listen to now are recorded in
All isolated.
all isolated.
Right.
So there's a very human connection on this record as well.
Yeah. So songs of note, maybe. You guys have any ones? I like. Please excuse my pronunciations. Mahine Mi.
I like that
May?
one a lot. Yeah.
That was like their most like upbeat sort of like
Oh, that one
blues
was
kind
cool.
of song. Like I really enjoyed that because most of the album is fairly mellow, but that one kind of got a little bit little pep in the step, a little oomph in there.
I like the track Diarabi.
That was my favorite
one of
track
mine too.
on
That
record.
had a really nice pronounced the spring reverb
Yeah.
on the snare. That one.
And that had like kind of like this oozy type of, it must have been a keyboard like pad thing coming in, and there's some like wad, not like but like some like gradual wah sounds.
Yeah.
I like that song. I think Tamala. I think that's the track where it's kind of like this one slow down speed, and then the last minute and a half they like not double it up, but get to this like, oh cool, like kind of like dancey last minute and a half.
Yeah, all the songs you guys named were like the highlights that are for me. I also like the Lobo, the second track on there.
Yep, that one.
That was another one I looked up to and like heard the original of, so that was pretty interesting. But yeah, I liked how the vibe of it was like you really did get lost in it. Like by the time you're in like the middle of this record, like on the first listen, if you're just kind of like you will sink right into this record and you will not know where you are. Like it's that kind of record. You're like, how many songs have been playing? Is this the same song? They sound very different, but it's just so relaxing and that's how I felt about it. It was just really relaxing and sweet and sentimental, even though you didn't know any of the words. It had all of those sonic feelings to it, I felt.
Yeah.
Again,
And if you're unfamiliar with world music, like this is where the musical vocabulary of American blues originated, is in countries like Mali and Niger and Ghana, all the cultures from which the slave population was taken from, that transformed American music with the blues. And so you hear that kind of that culturally Muslim type of musical thing where it's a lot of like like these like melisma type things, but you also hear the guitar playing is like the lead guitar style that, you know, Eric Clapton and Jimmy Page and all those guys would rip from the Delta blues guys who got it from people from this country in like the 1860s, you know, 1840s. Like this music has been around a while, which is why it has that like mystical, spiritual, like ethereal thing. Is like this has been music that's been playing for possibly hundreds of years.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I didn't even
Very
think about
cool
that too. Yeah. Right on. Cool. So if we're gonna give it a rating, what would you guys say if we're giving? Because we do give our new albums ratings.
yeah, this one's gonna be a little bit like hard for me. It's hard to judge an album I don't know what they're singing about. Like you'd have to really like research it to be like, this is how I feel about this. How did I vibe to this record?
Yeah.
That's more how I'm gonna review this. So I'm gonna go 7.5 on this record. I liked it all the way through. There wasn't a track that I found distasteful in any way. For me, it just was kind of like, if one less song was on here, I wouldn't have missed it, kind of thing. So 7.5 might return to it, but it's definitely like a vibey record. So
Yeah, right. I'll go the same with you. I'll go 7.5 on it too. I felt the same way. I felt like I told Luke, and anybody who watches the podcast knows that what I'm about to say is not a bad thing or any sort of thing like that. It is background music. It's vibe music. It's like, you know, you're kind of having like a nice relaxing evening. You know, you have some friends over, something like that. You know what I mean? You like have a drink, smoke, whatever. You know, throw this record on, and this is like a nice vibey music to have some people over and just kind of have a chill evening. So I'll say 7.5 for me. Yeah.
This is an 8.5 for me. I love Khruangbin. They're one of my favorite bands, and I love world music, especially African music. And it's an 8.5 because, like, I feel like there's a little too much reverb and atmosphere coated onto things. And if I would just have appreciated like a slight more variety, so to speak, a little bit more,
Yeah.
maybe pick up the pace on 2 more of the tracks or something. But I'm picking Nits because it's 8/5. I love this. So.
Cool.
Cool. Right on. So there you have it. Let us know what you think in the comments below. So on to the last album review.
Before moving on, can I shout out some things?
Yes.
Other African music to check out.
Oh yeah.
Check out, if you enjoy this album, check out a compilation by Somali artists. It was like lost tracks from the 70s and 80s. It's called Sweet as Broken Dates. Check out an album by Abo Taylor called My Love and Music. He's a singer from Ghana who was part of the High Life, which is like preceding Afrobeat music. Check out another Mali band called Songhai Blues, their debut album called Music in Exile. So that's a band that is fully influenced by Ali Farka Touré. Check out anything by Madu Mukhtar, who's from Niger. Afrique Victim is his latest full length that is really outstanding. And Fela Kuti, the king of Afrobeat, the compilation is called Best of the Black President.
There you go.
But yeah, you listen to any of those things, just put it on, drive. Like I don't think any of that stuff's in English, but like, yeah, it's like some of the best music ever. And a lot of that is like algorithm blessed from Spotify randomly. So thank you. Praise be.
Praise be to the primordial
Yeah.
algorithm.
I'm going to show this up to the camera so you can get the spelling of it. But this is Calabar I2 Road. This is Groovy Sounds from Eastern. Is that Nigeria? You pronounce that? Right?
Nigeria.
Thank
yeah.
you. I just wanted to get it right. 1972 to 1982. Nigerian music from Africa has a great psychedelic period.
Yeah.
There's some of that on here, but this is more of like traditional music mixed in with that. And it's a great compilation of that style of music. And this is my first introduction to African music. This is a great compilation. Once again, that's Calabar ITU Road. Groovy Sounds from southeastern Nigeria. So, yeah, shout out. I mean,
Yeah.
Listen to world music. Listen to African music, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you, most of the music you enjoy, this is the genesis of it.
well,
like, you know.
I have another record from an artist I love, R.E. Ruggie, but he's from Sierra Leone. And that guitar playing on that record reminded me a ton of this Khruangbin album. So, just the swirling, like, triplets up and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And these are guys, like, for the most part, they're, like, playing on $100 Squire guitars through homemade amps made from like 4-inch radio speakers, and they're some of the most accomplished, like outstanding musicians. So like, it's just proof that it's all about what's in your mind and heart and how you express yourself. It like fuck $3,000 guitars and all, you know.
Oh yeah,
whatever.
I mean the Delta Blues guys do the same thing. Right. Even like more, Junior Kimbrough. You know what I mean? So right on. So there you go. Onward to the next album review. This album just came out as well. It is by the experimental jazz trio. The Comet is Coming. The name of the record is Hyperdimensional Expansion Beam. It's out on Impulse Records. 11 songs, 45 minutes and 37 seconds long, featuring Shabaka Hutchins on sax, Dan Levers on keys, and Max Hallett on drums. And
also known as King Shabaka,
yes, King
Danalog, who plays synthesizers, and Betamax, who plays drums.
Thank you for giving us the nicknames. Yeah,
And they are from London.
And this album is called Hyperdimensional Expansion Beam. You know what this music sounds like? A hyperdimensional expansion beam.
Yeah,
It's trance electronica with a lead sax instead of like a vocalist.
Yeah, and it is intense. One might call it an all-out assault on the ears at times, anyway.
I would like to call it dubstep jazz.
Yeah, sure.
Because the horn line is doing like the crazy edits that like the drops in the yes, that dubstep would do. There's a lot of that saxophone playing on this record that sounds very reminiscent of that. It's very cool. There's some more like standard jazz stuff on here, but it's basically fried in with like intense electronica with some saxophone on there.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of like sort of retro sounds in there, like what you might consider like 80s sci-fi sounds, if you want to call it that. We listened to it the other night. Alex and I were doing a workout with my cousin Jimmy, and he said, "This sounds like Tron, man." You know, like so there's
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, so that's really what it is. There's a lot of those kinds of the key stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you guys want to get into like songs of note.
Oh, let's get into songs of note.
I'll start off with a song that I actually really liked, but Luke told me is his least favorite on the album, Atomic Wave Dance.
Okay.
That song was crazy, and my son and I danced to it in the living room yesterday, and it was a lot of fun, and we had fun, and it was just
you said
kind of
crazy.
wild.
What aspect of it was crazy?
It's just it was very, very intense. There's a lot of those like stabbing saxophone,
sax stuff,
and that's
yeah,
what
okay.
it is. It's
Yeah.
like
It's like Jamaican air horns on a sax.
yeah, it's just so intense, and he'll either do just like stabs with one note, or he'll go between two note stabs, and it's just like that kind of stuff.
Or do like triplet run, like and you're just like, God.
He's a
damn.
guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's much more melodic and all that, but he is a guy who loves Pharoah Sanders. And,
Right.
and
Oh, I said
those-
triplets.
John
I meant more
Coltrane.
of like paradiddles, like
Yeah.
paradiddle.
His sax playing to me reminds me of like if you made a Jamaican, like a dance hall singer, and you just gave him the like peanuts, like because like the timbre of the sax has that like bark and rasp, like how the best like Jamaican guys are like da 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 da.
Right.
oh.
I didn't even think of that. That's a good catch, because that's what it is. Right, that's that tone, man.
Did you guys? Did you like Tokyo Nights into Pyramids? Because that was another like
man.
epic. Like
Yeah.
Tokyo Nights is a like setup where you get like this. It's the most Tron-y track on the record, and then it goes into Pyramids, which
It's just
is like
it's an appetizer.
it's like an appetizer for like
for the club.
for like. You're doing LSD in a pyramid, and then before like the lead up to this is you were doing LSD in Tokyo.
Yeah.
It's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So it's got like a lot of that going on. Pyramids was a intense song.
Yeah, that's the one where it's got those hits where it goes.
Pyramids is the most like if you said what does this band sound like? Pyramids is what they sound like.
Right,
Their earlier releases, they have a handful of songs that are very much like that. That's like their bread and butter.
And
Yeah.
songs like Code into Technicolor, the first two tracks are kind of the same of that, and Technicolor is more of a like hard like electronic with like that's more like the dubsteppy sound
And
that
the
they're
cool
doing.
key intro too. That's like wow, 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 like
But,
that thing.
In between those two like intense songs of Pyramid and Technicolor, you have Lucid Dreamer, which is Luke's vibe all day long.
Yeah.
I am Lucid Dreamer. This is the song for me, man. This is the track.
Yeah.
It was more conventional jazz. It had like more, how would I say, almost like bebop-y like horn lines going through there, as opposed to like, you know, electronic influenced horn. So that was a really cool. And then underneath it, they textured it by having all of that be like super spacey, like psychedelic jazz underneath, which I really liked. And that song was a big highlight on this record for me.
Yeah.
I like this song, Frequency of Feeling Expansion, which to me was like if you took a song off of Beyonce's latest album and you just had a sax play the vocal line. It was very much like these like expressive runs that were very like acrobatic and you know, very R&B influenced. And
that was my the other one that like A.B. the Lucid Dreamer, like that one is the other one that was more conventionally
because
based.
it's like very pretty but it's very intricate and
yeah, it had like a lot of crazy like things going on, but it was like the horn lines were really like the melody of the horn lines were so beautiful and not abrasive on you. That was another one that I shouted out because like I loved when they got mellow, because it was like a relief from when they were so like the universe is coming, it's expanding. Like that's what this album sounds like. Someone's yelling at you in saxophone that the universe is expanding.
stop yelling at me. I don't speak saxophone.
We gotta do something about global warming now.
So this band, this was another like thank you to the internet, because I came across this band. They did a NPR Tiny Desk concert, maybe 3-4 years ago, and like live at the Tiny Desk, it sounds exactly like this album because it's drums that are just like just breakbeat. It's the keys that are just so thick and woozy and enveloping, and then the sax is just like ripping and with like delay and reverb pedals. And so check out the Tiny Desk.
Yeah. So if we're gonna give this a rating, then, fellas, what are you feeling? I think this is gonna be a hard rating for me anyway.
It's easy
but
for me.
so Jeff, why don't you
Jeff, go first, please.
yeah, why don't you lead us off? Set the tone.
I'll set the
Just
tone.
remember.
That's a tone.
Just remember, Journey was number 7. He was a 7.
Oh yeah, that's the benchmark. Not to be repetitive, but like, kind of a rating, because I didn't think it was perfect. I didn't think it was amazing. I will go back to this all the time because I love this band. 8.5, 8.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this shit. Like, I can't listen to it at all hours of the day, but kind of in a way I can.
Yeah, I'm going to repeat myself this round as well. I'm going to give it a 7.5. I found myself kind of like at first listen, because I listened to it twice yesterday and then again today, and I found it to be kind of difficult up front. But today, like going back and just kind of listening to it again, just to like make the notes and just like be like, okay, let's just. I found myself kind of being like, oh shit, I think
You gotta
I
let
like
the
this
brain
record.
dance to it.
Yeah, man. So it's so 7.5 for me. 7.5 for me.
I'm gonna answer this honestly. I think this is a 6.5 for me. It's just this music is very abrasive, and in this style, if you're gonna do that, more concise, like 30-minute record for me would be where it's at, because it is so intense and hard.
Yeah.
But having said that, it's not a bad record. It's a really fun listen. But for me, it's like that's
It's
what
intense.
it is.
That is
It's
what-
intense, yeah. You know what it reminded me of? Like listening to animals as leaders. I don't know why
Yeah.
I thought about that, but I was like, oh, this is the same kind of like future, because they're like the futuristic progressive metal side of the coin. You know what I mean? In that sense, I guess you could call it that. But very still experimental and very like in your facey and kind of like, I can see them.
I think all three of us listen to pretty extreme and all areas of music at times. So like for us, it's like, it's not crazy jazzy. It's not crazy electronic. But like if you aren't into electronic music at all, you're going to get one track in and be like, oh, I don't like this.
Well,
and if you think that jazz is like this toxic word that you have to avoid, you're going to go, oh, I hate jazz music. And it's like, all right, well, whatever.
Yeah.
Like for me, if this was like avant-garde saxophone over the whole thing, I might like it. Maybe a little, you know what I mean?
Right. It is more conventional saxophone playing for the majority of it.
Ex-
It's pretty, like Mike kind of demonstrated, it's kind of vocally, it's not really like
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's more like single notes.
It's not laying on that Charlie Parker line.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, all right. So this has been Get in the Garage. Before we wrap up, just don't forget to like and comment and subscribe and share the podcast with all your friends and family and everybody. And make sure you leave comments and review us on Apple Podcasts as well. Awaken the primordial algorithm, please.
Before we go,
Yeah.
I just want to shout out
Wake
Big
me up before we
Takeover
go.
magazine. I subscribe to this magazine. It is a great indie magazine. It is run by a real person. He wrote me a real letter. I read this magazine. I'm now a subscriber of it, but I bought it before. So The Big Takeover, check it out. Enjoy it. Wonderful.
Cool.
He wrote me a real letter.
He wrote me a real letter,
This is not
man.
my girlfriend from Canada. She goes to a different school.
Real letter.
It's a different school.
Listen to music from Africa.
Yes. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening.